Good afternoon. Today we're going to show you how to properly break down a solid state pinball machine. A solid state pinball machine is a digital pinball machine that was made after the electromechanical machines. So starting at about the end of 1977, solid state refers to games that has 6 or 7 digit digital displays that only has numbers on them. When it starts to have letters on the displays, that's a different era of machine. Okay, the first thing we have to do is open the back box, take the back glass out, and remove the bolts from the back box, because these older machines do not have a latch on the back of them to keep the head forward, and they also do not have hinges on them. See, the more modern machines have hinges so you can fold the back box forward, but these do not, so we must remove the bolts, and then we're going to carefully place the back box on the machine. But first, we have to take out the glass, remove the bolts, put the glass back in, and while we're hanging on to it, we're going to shrink wrap the head in the glass. But we have to be very careful because, as I said, at that point there will not be any more bolts in the machine. Okay, right now I have the key in. I'm lifting up the glass. Most of them remove this way. We're going to set it over here very carefully on a pillow. I'll put this behind it. This back glass has zero wear on it, so I'm trying to be very careful. Now, as you see, I'm going to open up the back box, and here are the bolts I need to remove. This one has a few bolts in it. Now, as soon as I'm done removing these bolts, as I said, we're still going to hang on to the back box on top of the machine. We're going to close the door, put the glass back in it, and we're going to shrink wrap it while it's basically balancing on the machine. So we have to be very careful. Once again, I got to tell you over and over, be careful because it's not secure to the body of the machine anymore. This definitely will take 2 people for the next part. At this point, we've removed all of the bolts from the head. As you can see, we're hanging on to this. I also wanted to mention, when we remove bolts from the machine, from the legs and from the head and the keys and everything, we usually get the we get the coin box out of the machine and place everything in the coin box. And I should have mentioned up front, before you even start to pack a machine or break one down, you actually should remove any ball, or if it has multi-ball, the balls inside of the machine, and the manual, coin box, and anything that is loose inside the body, since in the end we're going to be standing the machine up vertically. So everything inside needs to be removed, period. Okay, now we're about to shrink wrap the head. Now I've placed this pad in front of it and a piece of cardboard. We like to protect the glass. A lot of machines, even though you lock the back boxes, when you lean the head down, sometimes the glass can fall out. So we just like to be extra cautious, and we like to shrink wrap little protection here over the glass. And that is also the reason why we shrink wrap the head anyways. You really don't have to if you don't want to at this point, but we just like to be extra cautious and shrink wrap everything to make sure the glass stays intact and no door tries to open on the glass behind it and all that stuff like that. Stand by. Okay, as you can see right now, we're in the process of shrink wrapping. I just want to show you this is what we do. We have the shrink wrap vertical, and we just continue to go around in circles until we have the head nice and tightly shrink wrapped. Like I said, it does take 2 people. It takes somebody to hold on to the head, and when you're shrink wrapping it, you can't just do it alone because you need 2 hands usually on the shrink wrap like this. So 2 people, let's make sure that head stays secure the whole time. It doesn't fall off the machine. After we're done with this, we'll show you the next step. Okay, the head / back box, which is referred to as the head or the back box, is fully shrink wrapped right now. Our next step is to fold it forward on the play field. I put some cardboard down here to protect the glass a little bit here. Also, I want to mention, we have kept all of the connectors intact in the back box because we don't feel like removing them all. It's just a chore. So when you move the head forward, make sure you're not stretching it too far forward towards the coin box. You got to keep a nice amount of slack on those cords / wires / connectors. So let's keep it really tight up against this part here where the head actually mounts to. I'm not sure what you refer to this name of this device right here, but it's the wood block that stands above the body. Stand by. So as you can see, we have the head folded forward. You see how it's right up against this, I guess we can refer to it as a pedestal right here. You want it really tight. Look at the wires. They're all nice and loose here. You don't want them this too far forward because it will make these wires and connectors too tight and can perhaps pull them off of these boards up in here. So the next step anyways is to take the cord from the game and just put it inside of the body so it's out of the way. So we're going to fold it up here and tuck it away nice inside. Here's the funny thing, whenever you go to set a game back up, so many people will put the head on and put their bolts in and they forgot to put the cord out here. It's kind of funny. I've seen some games where people have a note right here that says pull cord out first. Kind of silly. One thing I forgot to mention, if you have any of these come with brand new Stern pinball machines when they ship them to you. Put these on the machine because it protects the head and the side rails and the glass as well. So we put these on after we fold the head down. All I had to do was lift it up like this and just put this cardboard on the sides right here. All right. So now that that's done, our next step is to shrink wrap the head to the cabinet down here, to the body, okay? So we're going to shrink wrap over and over around the body of the head, until we get all the way up to here at this point, because in the end, we're going to be standing the machine up vertical, and when it's vertical, obviously you don't want the head to flop open, okay? So that's our next step. Stand by. Okay, right now, as you can see, I'm starting to shrink wrap it. I'm just going to start at this end. I'm going to place it like this, pretty much kick it to the other side and have another person grab it. And we're just going to keep shrink wrapping over and over and over. As you can see, he's grabbing it, he's going to hand it back to him. Just trying to be very specific here, just in case. Now we're going to keep going over and over until we get up to the front legs. We're going to go back and forth a few times as well. All right. As you can see, we've been shrink wrapping over and over. We just keep going up and under, up and under. It's pretty tight. At this point, I actually like to secure the head a little bit more towards the pedestal, did we call it? Is that what we decided to call this apparatus? I just like to go around like this a few times because it will pull the head towards that pedestal back there to keep it tight. Because like I said, we want a lot of slack on those wires, so none of those wires will get pulled out of the their terminals here or out of the away from the board side, the board connectors. So we'll do this a few times. Okay, the next step right here, we need to take these back legs off. So we're going to take this chair and set it up under the machine, because as you can see, we haven't shrink wrapped as much as the game as we want to, but we can't shrink wrap the whole game when these legs are still on. So at this point, I can just lift this up like this, put the chair on it. We're going to remove these legs and do some more shrink wrapping around here with the legs out of the way. Okay, right now, as you can see, we have the legs off, just the back legs, and we're going to set this on the floor in a moment, but first we're going to do some more shrink wrapping around this area. We're just going to shrink wrap back and forth and go around the front, around the coin door a little bit. Stand by. Okay, as you can see, we have it laying on the floor here. We did our extra shrink wrap. And it's pretty easy, you know. I always like to make a little hole here so I can grab a hold of the wood, and then we have somebody on that side, and we just like kick the chair out and just set it on the ground safely. Okay, at this point, we're going to stand the machine up vertically so we can remove these front legs. Okay, now that it's like this, it's time to remove the front legs and do some more shrink wrapping up in this area. Now the legs are off, so as you can see, we need a little bit more shrink wrap down here, and we need some more shrink wrap up here. So we're going to get it all shrink wrapped. And then after that, our next step will be to get all the legs on top of each other, kind of stack them up. And we're going to shrink wrap all the legs together as well. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we got the legs stacked up here. We're going to take the shrink wrap and shrink wrap the legs so they stay secure. And over here, we've got all the bolts, keys, and everything finally in the coin box here, as you can see. So I'm going to put the manual in there as well, and then I'm going to shrink wrap all this to keep all that stuff together. So this will conclude this part. This is part one, correct? Legs shrink wrapped, the coin box, everything shrink wrapped inside. This is how it is for transport. But our next video, part two, will show you exactly how to put this on a pallet, pack it, and strap it to the pallet. And then we're ourselves going to take it to the shipping dock. Stand by.